Our next conversation is going to be on this system of ours, all right? So the Gen Zs have basically just done what we've been doing, and they've been sitting in our homes and watching us and seeing our frustration and said, something is not right here. I mean, this thing is not working. If it's not working, why don't we just change the whole thing?
Get rid of it.
Yeah. But is it that it's not working by design, or is it that it's not working just because some things, have not worked well? And that's why we have invited Senator Richard Onyonka from Kisii County to come and be our guest for the next hour. Senator, good morning.
Good morning, Latif.
How are you doing?
Better than you.
Better? Clearly.
Yes.
It's good to have you here. Welcome to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
I'm happy to be back home. I have been on sabbatical a little bit. Senate is very busy. It's very, very busy. And essentially it's a matter of running around. But otherwise, everything is fine.
Okay.
Yes.
City will welcome you with the day's proverb. This week, the proverb is from a landlocked African country.
Yes, we'll be looking at landlocked countries. We have been looking at island nations of Africa. Now we're looking at landlocked countries. And we are in the Republic of Burundi, whose capital is Gitega. Bujumbura is just the largest city. And in case you're wondering, they have a population of around 1.8 million people.
1.8 million?
No, in Burundi.
In the entire country?
In the entire country.
1.8 million?
Yes. And I know people who live in Kenya and who are Kenyans like thinking of how we have 47 counties. They have provinces, and they're only 18. Okay? Yes, as I mentioned.
Okay.
Now the proverb, you set the trap after the rat passed.
You set the trap after the rat passed.
Yes.
Senator, what's your interpretation of this proverb?
My interpretation, I hope I'm right, is that the reason why that statement is the way it's open-ended is because is actually advising you, make sure you don't set the trap once the rat has left. But in the African context, it leaves you open-ended so that you can use your common sense to decide whether you're going to set up the trap or not. Yes. And TC, I have one, which is actually very, very important for the current situation.
Yes.
If you see a lion eating grass, don't you think that lion is not a carnivore? The reason why it's eating the grass is because it's saving itself.
It's survival mode.
It's survival mode. Why? Because when lions eat grass, or even dogs, that's how they kill the worms. Simple.
It's medicating.
Yes. So when we are telling our brothers in government and some of us that this thing has to be changed, let's eat grass so that we can fix it. That's what it means.
Eat grass to save yourselves.
Yes.
Or else the worms are going to finish you.
Yes.
Hey. You walked in as we were just looking at the papers, and there's a story in The Nation, there's a story in the Business Daily. The story in The Nation is red flag in Adani JKIA deal mirror auditors 2018 concerns. They quote you extensively in that story.
Yes.
The one in the Business Daily is talking about India firm is job cuts, new terms for KAA staff in deal. Of course, we've seen this, and you have raised this matter in Parliament.
Yes.
On this particular deal.
Yes.
That's under discussion right now.
Right.
Between the Kenya Airports Authority and this private Indian company.
True.
The president yesterday was asked the same question at the town hall in Mombasa. And he said, we are not selling the airport. The conversation that's ongoing is on how best we can improve the airport. And how can we do that? If we don't have the money, can we get somebody who has the money? Can they do it? PPP is the way to go now in the world.
Latif, let me help the president. When you're head of state, you should talk to your people who think sometimes for you. Why is the president commenting about this issue when I've already asked the question, when I've asked for documents? And I've said what I want him to do is not that whether the airport is being sold or not. Let him just give us the agreement. That's what the law says. There needed to have been public participation. Stakeholders should have been called. The people at the Kenya Airports Authority, some of our Kenyans who are working there, you can see the stories coming out that they're going to lose their jobs. And guess what? It's like Kenyans cannot work at the airport simply by even doing some of the jobs which some of them do and they don't like them. And you're being told that here it is that you're going to take your airport. And by the way, contrary to what the president has said, it's not only JKIA. It's that all the airstrips in the Republic of Kenya are going to be managed by this company.
All aerodromes.
Absolutely. And the parliamentary committee, which was there by the year 2019-20, where Honorable Kosing was the chair, made a recommendation that there is nothing you can IPP with national airports. Why? Because they border on national security. That is it. I mean, what else do I need to do? All I'm asking him to do is let him tell his people, including my friend Kositani, to give us the documents at the Senate. That will vindicate them if what they are saying is true. You notice the first time Musalia said, oh, by the way, there is actually no agreement like this. The next time KIA issued a statement, they said, no, we have an agreement like that, and we are going to consult all the stakeholders so that we can come up with a good idea. And that, why is Musalia saying there's no contract and there's no agreement, and yet this guy from KIA?
Is there an agreement?
There must be. That's what the letter from KIA said.
The Airports Authority said they have received an investment proposal under the PPP Act of 2021 from the Adani Airport Holdings Limited, a key airport operator, to invest in a new passenger terminal building, second runway, and refurbishment of the existing facilities at JKIA.
Yes.
And their specific is JKIA.
Yes.
The proposal will be subjected to technical, financial and legal reviews alongside requisite due process in compliance with the Public-Private Partnerships Act. The project agreement will be preceded by stakeholder engagement, the National Treasury approval, the Attorney General's clearance, and the Cabinet approval. I wish to assure our staff that no jobs are at risk. I also wish to assure the airport business community and operators that the expanded facility will create additional business opportunities and attendant benefits. This is Henry Agote, the acting managing director. So the CEO is basically saying we are still at the preliminary stages.
I don't know that. Neither do you.
We have. That's what he says.
Nobody knows.
I'm saying what he says is we have received.
Yes.
We have. It's now at the preliminary. We have received. The next things that we're going to do is subjected through the due process.
When you are provided with documents to the company that is trying to negotiate an IPP with you, don't you have terms and conditions of engagement?
That's the law. That's what he's saying.
So let him produce those terms.
There's a public procurement.
Let them give us those terms.
It would appear as though things have actually progressed quite far in this whole discussion.
Yes.
And we're actually beyond a place where somebody says, oh, look, Kenya has an airport which I think could actually need some help. A solution is being proffered here.
Yes.
It seems as though it's gone a lot further than that until one particular organized company has been named. This is what the plan has.
Absolutely.
We're looking at numbers like 18% over the next 30
All
years.
the details.
Would we have such details on such progression if it was merely at just proposal stage where, hey guys, I think I can do something for you? Would we have such details at this stage?
My honest question is exactly from what you are saying, and this is the point I'm making. You can't sign, you can't begin to engage on unpaid. Let me put it this way, Latif. If somebody comes here, and this is another matter that is going to be discussed another day, you hear how the Emiratis and certain individuals are coming to the country, they're leasing public land, and that land negotiations are taking place, and it's not in public, but it's being handled by the guys in the Ministry of Lands, privately with certain individuals who have already signed an MOU, which then gives them the template. What is the MOU that the Kenyan government has received from the Adani group? That's what I want to see.
You want to see
the
the proposal that they have submitted.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I thought I've seen you elsewhere, Senator, saying that you got those documents.
Yeah, what I have, I want the government to give me what they have.
Okay. So beyond those documents that are from Adani, do you have any other document from KAA to Adani?
Let me ask you a different question. Did you ever know about Adani until I talked about it?
Well, yeah, we had
Isn't everybody writing about Adani now? Why are you intending to question me and ask me the questions as if I'm the one who has committed the crime? Let the government.
Don't be defensive.
No, I'm not.
I come in peace.
Latif,
Hold on.
Latif.
Let's start again.
Latif.
Let's start again.
Yes.
Let's start again. So, there's somebody who blew the whistle.
Yes.
Using you.
Yes.
They gave you documents.
That's true.
From Adani.
Yes.
And that is their proposal to KAA.
Thank you.
Okay? So you have that.
Yes.
Did they also give you any other documents? For example,
yes.
a response from KAA
yes.
to Adani saying we are in receipt and we shall discuss, or come next week we meet. Do you have anything?
Why would you want me to give you my evidence?
I'm asking, do you have?
I'm saying, yes, I do.
You do have that?
Yes, but I will not give it to anybody until the time. You see, what I'm saying, Latif, is this. I don't think the question on this table today is whether Adani exists or not. It did not exist. We have disclosed they exist. We have then raised an issue saying there are certain things and there are certain issues which are about this company called Adani. We then gone further and received more information and realized every single thing Adani has touched is a con game. Everything. You can go, they've done something in Malawi, they've done something in Australia. It's online. You see what the company has been. And what we are saying, even when you're telling us that Adani is telling us that they're going to give us 1.2, I think it's about close to 2 billion shillings for the partial development of the airstrip. What we know is that other countries like Rwanda, they have actually gotten the Qataris who have built a brand new airport for them for $2 billion and they're going to give them 40 aircraft for them to continue supporting their airline. Why would I complain about such a deal? Even if it was the Rwandan deal, I would still have wanted to see what the agreement talks about.
That's fair.
That is all.
That's what I'm asking. So,
Yes.
do you have any information that you can share here with us?
No,
that you have seen?
not on radio because you know the matter is in court.
You've
I
already
hope you
told
know.
us
I hope you know the matter is in court.
Adani has, what you have seen, what Adani has asked from KAA.
Yes.
What has KAA told Adani?
My argument is very simple. I have done my job of going to the Senate, asking questions, and I'm waiting for the answers to be given by the government. If I give any more information, I'm dirtying the water.
Okay.
Yes.
What information do you want from the government? What information should the government be providing the public?
Thank you. That they have an agreement which they have agreed or they had. This is another question. How did they single source Adani? All right. We have single sourced one company. We are giving it this company. And I'm saying this because this, you see, when you are a whistleblower, when you receive information, the information that you get, if it adds up and begins to make sense, then there are certain particular government institutions who have the responsibility to do a forensic, a proper investigative trajectory, and who will make sure they clear the balance of this matter. What I'm saying is everything that I'm receiving from Kenya Airports Authority, from the Cabinet Prime Minister, from the President himself, they are no longer saying the deal doesn't exist. They are saying, actually, we are engaging. My argument as an oversight officer is to ask the government, give us the terms and conditions of your engagement.
Why would it be difficult to give over such terms of agreement?
That is why I'm waiting for them to deliver this to the Senate. And that is why I'm saying there was absolutely no need for the president to talk. Because the institutions that we have are the ones who would have said, I think EACC and DCI, I know that the airport has not been sold or whatever that he says, but I think let us use institutions to investigate and confirm whether this matter is real or not.
And legit.
And legit.
What we're doing here with the questions is to help with the oversight role.
True.
So, what documents have you sought from KAA? Can you give us a list of the documents so we can also now know?
Unfortunately, you didn't ask me to bring you the request from my request at the Senate, but I'll remember verbatim. I may not have because it's even online.
Yeah.
I have asked them to give me who the directors, first of all, of Adani are. I want to know whether the company has got registration locally or not, if it's an international company. I have asked for them to tell me where else this company has done the work like what we have here, including India, where they run 9 airports and it's a disaster. And I've asked them to give me the memorandum of understanding that they have drafted with the Kenyan government and any other necessary information that they may see fit for me to understand what they have negotiated.
Okay.
Yes.
Have they give an indication to the Senate that
they have not responded?
They are going to respond.
Essentially, the system and the Senate is that, and that's another thing I think, that's when we discuss the issue of the system being broken, is that there is nothing that is urgent. There's nothing that you can demand under certificate of urgency, especially a matter like this, that would demand that either we fast track such a matter or we fast track the questions that I'm raising. So the normal process is going to take another 2 weeks, before the matter then is referred to the appropriate committee. Then the committee is going to sit and see whether they have the quorum. Then they will ask me to come and they will ask the Kenya Airports Authority to come. It might take even a month.
But is this thing inked? Is this deal already inked? Is there an agreement that's going on? Is the airport, and as you've said here, allegedly in this documentation or whatever the agreement may be, other airstrips, aerodromes in the country.
Yes.
Is it already a done deal? Where are we with all of this? It just seems like there's documentation being requested for, and there could be a lot of other things already happening in the back end.
That is my problem. One of the issues is, when I was raising this issue, I had 2 reasons why I was raising it. Issue number 1 was to raise this issue because the public was not aware of it, and to inform the public that there's something going on of national interest, and I think the public needs to know. Number 2, if I was to give you an answer and say, yes, I know the door, then you tell me, give me the agreement. I don't know. That is why I've asked the question, that I want this information to be brought by the committee so that then we can interrogate the matter to its logical conclusion. If they say there's no agreement like that, then we'll go down and start discussing about the legalese in terms of, has the public been engaged? Have we had public hearings on the matter? Is there any other evidence which we have not considered? I would also love to bring the Adani people. Are you with me? So that they can also tell us what is it that they've been discussing with the Kenyan government.
So there is a possibility that all of these processes that you're asking about are actually unfolding.
There is a possibility that it's actually...
that there will be public hearings, there will be public participation, that there will be, an open a display of said agreement if there is one, and that the proper procedures and processes will actually be followed.
The reason why I asked the question is that I didn't believe that we are at that stage. My argument is either agreements, and this is the conviction I have, that certain agreements have been signed, and when these individuals in government realized that we have actually disclosed this information, they then started to pedal. They're saying, we are actually not having this agreement, we are going to follow the law, everything is fine, and that is where we are. And my argument is very simple. I understand the arguments they're making. Give me the evidence on what you have agreed to do with the Adani company. Yes.
According to the law,
what
should happen should a company, say Onyonka and Latif Associates, that builds airports and runs airport facilities, should a company like that come and approach Kenya Airports Authority and say, we see you have a small airstrip called JKIA and we'd like to upgrade it to world status, and we'd like to get into an agreement on that. What should the steps be according to the law in Kenya?
Thank you. Very good question. It should have been advertised. Has anybody seen anywhere where it was advertised about the Kenyan government wants to solicit services of a company or an investment firm that wants to spend $2 billion to either renovate, refurbish, or reconstruct an airport in Kenya?
Okay, but in this case, from what we're seeing, is that it is Onyonka and Latif that approached Kenya Airports Authority.
True.
Not that Kenya Airports Authority had put out a tender or an advertisement.
No. There is no government transaction that will take place where somebody walks in and said, let's do this.
Someone can't just come and propose?
Absolutely none. If they propose, then the government in itself, through the Ministry of Finance, would actually advertise that. So that, Latif, what is public interest?
Transparent.
So that transparency is there, so that the public knows that we are now giving out our airports.
Okay.
After that process, then companies will come. It's exactly the same way I'm giving you the case for Rwanda. How can Rwanda negotiate an agreement where the Qatari government, and you remember the story about government to government? This is now the beauty of government to government. The Qatari government negotiates with the Rwandese government. They are being built an airport, a brand new airport for $2 billion. I'm told it's an incredible facility. What does then the Qatari government do? In the negotiations with the Rwandese government, they then agree that they are actually going in the deal to supply the Rwandese government with 40 new planes so that Rwanda can capture the African market. The software of that agreement, I don't have it because I'm not Rwandese. What I'm saying is the software that I'm asking for from the government of Kenya vis-a-vis our relationship with Adani is what I'm asking for. What is it that you have negotiated, and what is the fine print? As an interested party, as a Kenyan, and for the public, shouldn't the public know what we have negotiated?
Okay.
Shouldn't the workers who are working at these airports know that their jobs are at stake? Shouldn't we know that when these people come, do they also take over the duty-free facilities? Do they run the taxis which are running from the airport? Do they then bring their employees and put them there and chase out all the Kenyans who are working?
All those things need
I
to be
believe
clear.
these are national
So the steps,
interest
again,
matter.
first of all, advertise and go to the public and say, we are considering the expansion of JKIA.
Absolutely.
And we are seeking interested parties.
Yes, then
And-
various individuals
and we
will
are
come. There will
closing
be a
this thing in
public
2
hearing
weeks.
on the matter,
Okay.
and they will deliberate on that publicly. And then after that, there will be, with the committee that is sitting on those hearings, they'll write a recommendation as to whether we can proceed with this matter or not.
And none
After
of
that, if the public hearings make a recommendation, that is the ideal situation, that we can proceed and build this. Then what happens naturally? The ministry now says we have now again made a request that the companies that we are asking for, this is what we want, this is what we want, and there will be like 50 or 30 companies that are coming. And of course, the law says you pick the one that is going to do the facility and cheapest and all the other things that matter.
And Richard, this is the Public-Private Partnership Act,
Yes.
2021.
True.
That is being quoted.
Yes.
That's a process that is required.
That is a process.
That needs to be followed.
That is what the MD of KAA was talking about. He was giving a narrative about what has not happened. The question I'm raising is, what if it has happened?
Okay.
Yes.
Our guest this morning is the Senator for Kisii County, Richard Onyonka, on, just holding the government accountable. And you're saying you've asked for all this information. It may take a while for you to get the information that you're seeking because of the processes in Parliament. Are there no instances where it can be a matter of urgency? Where you can say, you know what, we turn the risk. The process has already started.
Yes.
And we as the oversight body are coming in a bit late.
Yes.
We can fast track this so we catch up with the process.
To be honest with you, it's a catch-22 we are in. Because again, the fear, and that comes under the standing orders, if the fear that I think when we were drafting the standing orders for the Senate, is that if you create a scenario where critical matters are going to be raised in terms of certificate of urgency. I mean, this is a national. So you remember when we had floods?
Yep.
It was, I think, after 1.5 weeks that we were able to discuss those floods. And yet people were already dying. People were already being shifted from the areas they were living in the slums and all that. So it's a complex legal kind of space whereby, as I said, I may not be able to get the to the Senate to discuss this matter urgently because it has come up. But the reality is that I was able to then use also the gaps that exist within the standing orders, where, for example, I tabled the document and immediately became a public document. That helped me in having the narrative begin. Number two, then we also are allowed by law these days to actually send mail. I sent mail with the same questions to the Kenya Airports Authority. And instead of them answering to me on my mail, they put a statement out there in public. So for me, I'm waiting for them. They don't even have to send the mail anymore because I've tabled the questions, and I'm expecting that they will, at the right time, come and tell us. If they tell us that they have been talking with these guys, maybe some places where they play golf and nothing was discussed, money wasn't discussed and everything, Latif, I would say hallelujah. Our airports are there.
And they're safe.
And they're safe.
So does this not broaden now this conversation that we're speaking of now? Because if we speak just about these processes, which seem to be, steeped in bureaucracy, this person must write to this person, and then we wait for whatever to happen, and then time just continues to lapse. Because there are two scenarios that could play out here. The last, which you've just said,
yes.
It's very possible that there is an explanation to all of this, and there is nothing wrong completely,
yes.
and everything is fine, we move on. Yes. Or the other reality, that the possibility that there's actually a deal that has gone on, and nobody is any wiser. And that there is a possibility that there is this company and is doing 1, 2, 3. But again, if we broaden this conversation,
yes.
does it now, just when we talk about systems of government, it seems as though the system is intentionally designed to eat itself. That the stomach juices are there to consume itself, whereby you're asking for proper governance of things, but the very procedures within which it is crafted make it so difficult to play out good governance. How do you do that if I have to wait for an odd month or two for a simple answer to be given, within which time anything could go wrong?
You are asking the question I wish I was asking. I want to say this, and I've said it before. Latif, we have a country that has the hardware looks normal. If you drive through our roads, we'll complain about how we have potholes and everything. But if you drive from here and you're going to Nakuru, you'll go through Naivasha, you'll see people building things, you'll see there are hotels there, you'll see a few tourists walking around. You drive to Nakuru, you'll see Nakuru is growing, it's developing. When you hit Kisumu, you notice that Governor Nyang has made the place clean. Kisumu now looks... The hardware is okay. What it has taken me, and this is why I tell people, I am not saying this because I think I am better or because I think I am more moral than anybody else. I joined the Senate. I started to see things which gave me a pattern. There is a pattern if you sit with intellectuals very carefully, people who've done finance and development matters and who have done auditing, and they will tell you that our system, and I've said this before, Latif, this system did not collapse because of William Ruto. This system has been collapsed deliberately and intentionally for a period of close to 30, 40 years from the time we got independence. When we started our republic, and when I can give an example, when I was going to school, kids went to school. You were not asked to pay fees. Do you see? Am I lying?
You're not lying.
Then after that, kids started going to secondary school with Kibaki. And they were going to school. Then, at some point, I started noticing that you are having kids who are leaving primary school, going to secondary school, and by the time we go to university, you all of a sudden notice that there is something that is not working. There's something that is wrong. And I started looking at the nitty-gritties. How can you have universities where all our women, children who are going to school, you open a university which doesn't have hostels? What do you do to these women, ladies, and even the young men? They go and live in shanty towns where you are acting and pretending that they are going to university, yes, because they are only able to pay 2,000 shillings to live in that damn place. Then you expect that these are the people who are going to come out, the senior good citizens who are going to observe the law, who are going to be fair, who are going to be... No, you're exposing our children to this man-eat-man society. Then you hear stories from the universities how the best students, some of those who are called the best students, are the ones whose parents can actually afford to bribe the system of the professorships and all these people to make sure a child who's supposed to get a pass in the university moves maybe even up to the upper second class. Kids who are supposed to be doing medicine. Now I realize, and I'm a senator, that the government wants to change the costing of what this young man or woman is going to study in the university, and he has to pay 1.5 million shillings. This is a child whose father sold the last quarter acre of land, which they had, for the boy to go to, or the girl to go to university and be a medical doctor. Then here you are as a country. And what are you doing with the money that is supposed to help such a child or such a young person? And that is what we are now having fun with.
Senator, do I hear you to be saying
Yes.
that when you look at the landscape we refer to as Kenya,
Yes.
and with reference to some of these mega projects that we have,
Yes.
the problem is not this Adani project. The problem is the history we've had with such projects.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How did Anglo leasing start? What happened to the Kamlesh Patni story? There's a trend. And what is shocking to me, I came to discover that actually Adani has a connection to the Golden Bag scandal.
Oh, for crying out loud. Okay.
I mean, there's a system deliberately which manipulates, and it's not just happening in Kenya. It is a trend that there are companies and the individuals on the African continent who realize how we have been made complacent. That even when we are taking our natural resources, Latif, what happened to the oil we were carrying to Mombasa?
Which?
Remember there were trucks carrying oil for testing?
Oh, yeah.
What happened?
We sold it.
What happened?
Since we sold it.
That oil had problems.
All right. Why did it have the problems? Now let
The
me
one
tell
that
you.
came from Turkana
Let
from-
me tell you. It is the ruling class that went to Turkana County and bought blocks of the land where this oil is. When Tulo was trying to mine the oil, they were told, you see, the 25% you're supposed to give the Turkana and what you're supposed to give government, you also must give us because the land is ours. Jesus Christ, that's the Turkana's land. So by us circumventing the system, we go and buy those blocks.
Yep.
We then make it impossible for the oil to be picked so that we can then either begin to refine it in Kenya so that then we can have cheaper oil in the Republic. What happens? The deal stopped. And you can run. I was mentioning to somebody last week, and I want to say this. I have never felt so proud of Kenyans. Kenyans are sending me documents that are shocking. An executive discussion. I have an executive document which somebody sent me from Washington, D.C., where he was telling me the World Bank and the IMF are wondering what's wrong with you Kenyans. I said, why? They are saying, why are you not able to negotiate with the American government so that you sell them your rare minerals, which you have, and the Americans are willing to pay up to about 120 billion US dollars. That should be enable you guys to pay your debts. That should be able to have your free education and everything. And I said, which minerals did you say? Rare minerals. What do rare minerals do? Stealth technology. That is the mineral that is used to make the hardest steel in the world. That even the bombs cannot blow up. That's steel. That is what we have.
Vibranium.
How many times have you heard how much gold we have in Ukolomani? I mean, how many years have you heard that Ukolomani didn't have any gold and everything? And what are the Chinese doing there now?
They're mining gold.
Why are they moving out Kenyans from where the gold is and they are roughshoding our people? If it wasn't that Umtata is running there to rush to court or for us to start talking about these things. I mean, why are we behaving like cowboy economists?
You know, most Kenyans don't even know that we have iron ore in this country. I'm one of those Kenyans.
The iron ore is being picked right now. How did we give out Tiomen? How did we give Tiomen out? It has been mined for the last 20 years. What were they mining? Being carried out by ships outside Taita Taveta and Kwale.
You know, the immediate former president, late president of Tanzania,
Yes.
had found himself in a similar situation with minerals in this country. And he said, stop.
Yes.
You are not cutting this thing as an unfinished product.
Yes.
You're going to process it
Here.
Then we can talk about the finished product and the value
Exactly.
and how it works.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we have uranium, and yet nobody talks about it.
So all these things.
Latif, do you see how much companies are coming from Europe and are on the eastern coast of our coast, and they are mining millions of tons of fish?
Yep.
And that money is just shared by people. I mean, so when we get this information, I can run from, you've heard my speech before, where we are telling farmers, grow maize, and yet the people who are in government and the biggest dealers in this town import maize, they depress the prices of these people who you are trying to help. I mean, you can talk about sugar, you can talk about maize, you can talk about... And then when you go to the county governments and they are only receiving 15% of our revenue, you see the amount of wastage. You see how people, women and children are lying on the floor. And you see, and we are going there as a committee, and it's true. I mean, these things I say, I'm not fabricating.
So you're saying the hardware is the problem?
Is the problem, the software. How we are managing our money, how we are striking deals, how we are making the government function. Right now, Teacher Service Commission, teachers who have retired can't be paid their dues. Can you imagine somebody who's retired for the last 6 years, they're not gotten their dues? How are they being paid now? Now they have to go and bribe some individuals at TSC to fasten
So that they can
get their compensation.
So the file can go up the... You see, when I listen to these things, Senator, I ask myself, so it's not the laws that we have in place?
Absolutely not.
It's not the institutions that have been established by...
The PFM Act tells the governor that you make a budget, you take that budget and upload it to the Treasury. The Treasury then takes that budget to uploads it to the central bank. The central bank then uploads that budget onto the IFMI system. The IFMI system, then it's the one which is the guardrail, which is supposed to wait the money that you've budgeted for, including the jobs which are being done, including the medicines you're buying, comes in. And once you've tendered, the company that wins the tender is the one you enter into the IFMI system. So that then they get paid once they supply. So what did we do? We collapsed the IFMI system. We then we started bribing the people at the Treasury. We started bribing the people at Central Bank so that budget which you've passed, including the national government, they now change the figures. That is why in the audit reports that we receive as the CPAC committee, you have a county government which is voiding, which is not paying. You see, the IFMI system asks, we have opened the system. Like right now, it's open. There are people who you have brought onto the list and they're being paid. Are you with me? So the central bank people are asking you, so do we pay it? So that the other side says, yes, pay. The money is not supposed to go to the county. It goes directly to the person who did the work. What do? They void. They change who's supposed to be paid. They change where the money is supposed to be spent, whether it's in doing roads. They change the values of certain roads. They change the values of the medicines they're supposed to buy. So the law is there, but implementing this law, the control of budget has screamed.
But now
There
you've
we
landed.
go.
Are you with me?
Here
Then you have the Auditor General.
We've heard it, Senator. Let me ask the question.
Yes.
In all these systems that we are talking about,
Yes.
we have placed watchmen and women. We have institutions that are supposed to be, the gatekeepers.
Absolutely.
We have the independent offices. Control
ESCC,
of budget.
you have DPP,
we have the Auditor General.
Control of budget.
All this.
Yes.
And then we have the ultimate one.
Yes.
Parliament.
Yes.
That has people who are elected directly by the people.
Yes.
To go and oversight.
Yes.
And make sure that things are done right.
Yes.
Parliament makes the budget. Parliament oversights how that budget is spent.
Yes.
Parliament is the sole consumer of the report by the Auditor General. Parliament is the sole primary consumer of the report by the Control of Budget.
Yes.
When the Control of Budget has been screaming, when the Auditor General has been screaming, they have been trying to get the attention of Parliament.
Yes.
And yet Parliament has not done much
Thank you.
to respond to this. But suddenly now we are seeing parliamentarians such as yourself, a very seasoned parliamentarian.
Yes.
It's like you are heading to Damascus and things have happened.
Yes.
What changed? Why has our parliament not been working all these years?
Thank you,
Senator?
sir. I want to tell you this, Latif. Honestly speaking, people like me have been seeing what has been going on, and we decided we will not talk about it because it was convenient for us. It is convenient that I am able to be a member of parliament. It is convenient that immediately the elections end and I come to the National Assembly, it is convenient that you are told the committees that you must join as roads. If you can't defense and foreign affairs, you might employ one of your nephews as an ambassador. The education, chances are in your constituency you'll be added extra 100 million by the sweetness. And you see, we are party members. Right now our party is kitu ni yetu.
Inside.
And I really have to be sorry to my leader, Honorable Gashawa, because he is the latest convertee to this message. He's the one who's saying Kenya is about 2 companies which have got shareholders. He now understands when some of us were talking to him and saying, that is not it. What you are saying is so painful to some of us that you are actually deliberately saying that after every election, those who win sit down and engage to share. So what has happened? Let me tell you this, Latif. I am not holier than anybody. All right? Have I seen and even participated in corruption? Most likely I have. All right? But the point I'm making for me is this. It's not about me now. No. Because if you look at my record, it's quite nice. If you look at my books when I was an MP, that's why these people of Kisi and Kitutuchacha have always elected me, because my approach to public service and public resources has been very, very cautious. And that is why I managed to be there for the time I have been. So what is happening is some of us are now beginning to tell our friends, you can be extremely happy that you are getting 250 million right now from CDF. And I will tell you that out of that money, you're also getting 100 million or 50 million to give for bursaries. But when I look at the audit reports you're giving me as members of parliament, if you look at the 2002 audit reports, and by the way, Latif, it's really amazing. It's mind-boggling. And I am going to just ask her to look at just 5 members of parliament. Let her state how much money the controller of budget is saying that these, our colleagues, our friends, our members of parliament, cannot account for. Read that. It starts with that one. What does it say? How much money is that?
Financial year 2021-2022, Nixon Courier spent 80 million.
And?
George Theuri, 96 million.
And go down.
Pay bursaries and build a classroom in Embakasi West.
And then what happened?
And okay, so I think I have to go
back and you'll see. And she tells you there are no documents. There's nothing. It's here.
Okay, so let's go back to the Nixon Courier one. Nixon Courier spent 80 million to pay bursaries in Langata. However, there is no... However, upon verification, only 30% of applicants acknowledge receipt of the bursaries. In the financial year 2021-2022, George Theuri spent 96 million to pay bursaries and build a classroom in Embakasi West. However, upon verification, it was discovered that some students didn't have admission numbers and the class was not built.
Next.
Okay, we then go on to... In the financial year 2021-2022, Alice Wahome spent 39 million shillings to pay bursaries in Kandara. However, upon verification, documents to confirm needy kids benefited were not found.
Go on.
This is the Auditor General's report?
Auditor General's report, right.
This is the report.
This is the report.
Why is the Auditor General quoting MPs and not constituencies?
No, I mean, what happened is that...
It's broken down.
It's broken down. But, and then the Gen Zs have put the names of the MPs.
Okay. But, so it's not the MP, it's the constituency CDF.
CDF, yes.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah, because it's important to make the clarification.
That is true, so that somebody doesn't sue you. The truth is, this is CDF money that members of parliament, and we are talking about only 6 in this list.
Okay.
Remember, there are 290.
Now, this goes to Parliament.
Yes.
Parliament is the one that receives the Auditor General's report.
Absolutely.
It comes to Parliament.
Yes.
And this is on the disbandment of NGCDF.
Yes.
And what has happened. Do we have a corresponding report, for example, that shows what Parliament did with those reports?
What I'm saying is this. Thank you.
That's why it goes to die.
Latif, brilliant. How do you give me money and you allow me to spend that money, and I'm going to spend that money even when you can argue that, MPs are just patrons? Wachana na your story, bwana. I've been an MP We run that money like a horse.
But why?
I'll tell you, it's the kitty. It's the kitty. The money is taken, and after the audit reports are done, they are shelved at the National Assembly. What do you expect the members of parliament to do? How can you oversight yourself? They hate me now, they abuse me, insult me that I'm talking like this. It is not even just the CDF. Look at our roads. How many times have I been saying the number of kilometers of road that we allocate budgetary financials to? It's mind-boggling. And yet there's nothing that happens. But documents are down, people are paid, the money goes. The Auditor General and the Controller of Budget have raised. Latif, last month, the Controller of Budget said, the Auditor General, Madam Nancy, I think an incredibly strong person, she said 1.2 trillion shillings was borrowed, but we don't know where it went. Did you see anybody say anything?
Who's supposed to say? It's Parliament, is it not?
Exactly. That's why I'm saying the system is broken. Members of Parliament, CDF is used as the cash cow that adds value to whatever the members of Parliament, and some of them, and I don't want many of them to keep on hitting at me that it looks like I'm fighting. Some of them have done brilliant work. There are 20, 30, 40 of them who could have done good work.
You know what, Mashima? We should not even be mentioning members of parliament when it comes to CDF.
Yes.
The law
Thank you.
does not have any role for a member of parliament.
Thank you.
in the management
And
of
that
CDF.
is why that CDF has been deliberately misused. We've gone against court orders, and we've been busy trying to say, let's change the law so that CDF becomes what?
NGCDF is entrenched and all those
And that is why I said the other day, the amount of money we are spending in giving out bursaries from primary school kids, secondary school kids, money that is being given, and even university, money that is being given to the governors, to the MPs, to the women rep, to the deputy governors, the presidency and his deputy, and everybody else is about 70B. Kibaki was running the Ministry of Education when he was president.
So in 4 years, we
Yes.
can actually put in money to upgrade our airports.
Absolutely.
But let's end it there. Senator Richard Onyonka from Kisii County has been our guest. Come back soon.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.